Chapter 53. Imaginatio Potestatum. It was a hard rain that fell on the city of London as a flash of lightning lit the night sky, revealing to Hermione the carnage that filled the streets of London. Goblins battled among themselves, jumping onto cars and terrifying the Muggle population, who were struggling to flee the city. Hermione's LLR also battled with Totalitter, deflecting the curses the Totalitter aimed at the Muggle cars. Meanwhile, the sound of gunfire filled the air as Muggle soldiers struggled to contain the rampant mutants that the Totalitter had unleashed in the city. Hermione ducked behind a car as an explosion shook the city. Ragnar rolled beside her and launched a spear over the car, a poison-tipped spears with tracking runes. Hermione heard someone cry out, and Ragnar laughed savagely. I love the smell of human in the morning. It smells like a victory feast. Hermione ignored the goblin as Ron ducked under cover beside her. It's a bloody shit show, Hermione. Hermione shook her head. I know, but we have to help these muggles. The muggles. We don't know how long we have before. Suddenly, jet airplanes flew above them, followed by large missiles that could only spell trouble. Ragnar croaked morbidly. It's over. The final war has begun. Hermione felt very cold, so this what it is then, not going back. Get everyone underground, try to save as many muggles as possible. Ragnar nodded before spotting something. Then the goblin roared. Dralak! Ragnar! Hermione shouted after the Goblin King before he ran into the darkness. Hermione looked around and saw bodies littering the streets. She saw children without parents and parents without children. Hermione looked to Ron and whispered, I'm done, Ron. I'm done fighting. Everyone should head underground and remove our involvement from the war. This isn't helping anyone. It's just pointless suffering. It's self-destruction. It's all just suicide. Ron nodded slowly as he uttered, war's like wizard's chess. It's destructive and full of sacrifices, but when it's over, you just reset the board and play again. Nothing changes. It's hopeless. It's impossible. Ragnar let out a loud cheer as he held Dralak's severed head above his own, only to realize everyone had suddenly gone quiet. Everyone was looking up at the bright lights in the sky. The brightest looked as if it was moving straight at them. Hermione shouted, Everyone underground now. Bring as many as you can. Some of the wizards started moving, but the goblins remained still. To everyone's surprise, it was Ragnar who spoke first as he dropped the goblin head and did the last thing anybody expected the Goblin King to do. He began to sing, or he attempted to, as the goblin croaked out with a tuneless voice. I will not go down under the ground, 'cause somebody tells me that death's coming around. Suddenly, other voices joined in with conviction and sang, and I will not carry myself down to die. When I go to my grave, my head will be high. Let me die in my footsteps before I go down under the ground. As Hermione listened to the singing, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. She felt like herself. Suddenly, she wasn't being torn to pieces anymore. She heard Ron start to sing as well, though he didn't know the words, surprisingly outside of a few muggles. Only the goblins seemed to know the song, which Hermione vaguely found odd. But as she listened to the words, she understood why it would appeal to them, and in that moment, they appealed to her as well. Hermione linked arms with Ron and started singing with them. Those who knew the words sang them too. There's been rumors of wars, and wars that have been. The meaning of the life has been lost in the wind, and some people thinking that the end is close by. Instead of learning to live, they are learning to die. Let me die in my footsteps before I go down under the ground. Happy birthday to me. A now 18-year-old girl sang with a smile as she looked up at the sky. She could see the light of every missile being fired from around the globe. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Luna. Happy birthday to me. Harry watched Luna. She finished her slow, dreamy trip up the hill that led to the graves of her parents. As she walked, the snow around her melted, revealing a beautiful bed of flowers and lush green grass, as if the snow had never been there. Harry spoke carefully as to not disturb her still fragile mental state in the real world. Shouldn't we hurry, Luna? I don't think we have much time. Time isn't a problem, Harry. Luna hummed dreamily. We have all the time in the world. Harry looked up nervously at the balms. I don't think there's much time, Luna. No, but it's more than we need, Luna uttered with a sweet melody. We're here. Harry looked down to where Luna was pointing and saw two flowers that stood out from the rest. The flowers that marked the final resting place of Pandora and Xenophilius Lovegood. I wanted them to see this. I want to be close to their spirits. Luna smiled calmly. I know Phileas is with me too, and of course you, Harry, the most important person of my life, here surrounded by my family. I finish what you started, Mother, once and for all. Luna smiled at Harry, who couldn't help but smile back at the woman he loved. You ready? Luna giggled uncertainly. I've never been more ready in my life, but I'm nervous. Harry laughed softly before pulling her into a hug. I'm here for you if you need me. I don't think I need you for this, but it's always nice to know you're there to catch me if I fall, Luna hummed with contentment. Harry smiled as he took a step back and winked. If you're ready, then it's time to say the magic words, Luna whispered serenely. Then she felt herself start to rise, higher and higher and higher. Harry watched from below as the flowers that marked the Lovegood's resting place suddenly started to grow. Before long, the flowers were as tall as trees, but Luna kept floating higher. Luna didn't know how high she was in the sky. She had her eyes closed, and could feel the pull of gravity being broken. Luna felt her mind enter higher states of consciousness. Sound seemed to fade until the deafness drowned it away. A vague feeling of numbness washed over her, while the light that shined through her eyelids vanished, leaving her in darkness. Suddenly, in this surreal moment of unconsciousness, a memory appeared unbidden between her eyes. Listening to the voice of Flamel's teachings from her memories. That's it. Let go of yourself and embrace your own delusions. You must surrender conscious thought and act solely on your instinct. This is why you mediate. You are too focused on your emotion, on your consciousness and your mind. You must let these things go to see the world for what it really is, whatever you want it to be. Defy limitations, refuse expectations, and let your dreams become reality. The moment you embrace the impossible is the moment when anything becomes possible. Luna's mind raced as she allowed images, words, sounds, visions, memories, and dreams to enter her mind and overwhelm her conscious being. Let go of your logic, let go of your sanity, let the power of imagination flow through you and embrace the magic. Luna blinked 3 times and felt the words echo around her, words she did not even speak aloud. Imaginatio potestatum. Back in London, the singing had only grown louder. It spread like a fire that filled the hearts of every goblin, wizard, and muggle who sang it. They all stood united and together as they waited for the inevitable. Then Hermione trailed off as she swore she heard a faint sound in the distance, the sound of laughter. Ha ha ha, everything had suddenly gone quiet as they somehow heard the laughter. An unnatural silence fell upon them before an angelic voice echoed through the sky. Imaginatio potestatum. Suddenly everything went white, and the world exploded with sound. Hermione felt the ground shake beneath her feet, and she was certain the end had come. Laughter consumed the panicking people of London, and color came flushing back to their vision. Hermione stumbled backwards as the cackle of the Nargles hollowed through the air, laughing their terrible cackle. Everyone looked up with a shriek as the missiles soaring through the air, igniting into balls of blinding light, painting the sky with fire. Hermione and the other magic users looked on mesmerized as the Nargles heckled. So much good has begotten bad, so much happy has begotten sad when the sky is black. And you know not why know you live in a world gone mad. Then, before anyone could comprehend what they were witnessing, the explosions seemed to implode upon themselves before vanishing into little specks of darts. Hermione opened her eyes and gasped for breath, sucking in air as if she had been on the verge of drowning before breaking through the surface and into the realm of the living. When Hermione caught her breath, she found herself on a peaceful green hill and looking upon what could only be described as paradise. There were waterfalls thundering in the distance, lush fields of green grass with a rainbow of flowers sprouting among them, and a forest with trees that kissed the sky. On the horizon, Luna could see the ocean as blue as her mother's eyes. In the center of the island was a tower that disappeared into the clouds. If Hermione didn't know any better, she would say it lead the way to heaven. Welcome to Xanadu, or at least my memory of it. Hermione spun around and felt the air leave her just as quickly as it had first come. There was Luna. Despite the brightness of the paradise around her, Luna seemed to be bathed in moonlight. Her skin was as silver as her eyes. All she wore was a brown dress, crafted from the very dirt beneath her feet. Luna's eyes shined with both life and an otherworldly intensity that shook Hermione to the core of her existence. Luna looked into Hermione's eyes and saw the awe and fear in them. Luna smiled sadly before sitting on the ground and offering the spot beside her. Hermione opened her mouth before closing it and doing as Luna suggested. After struggling to find her words, Hermione finally blurted out, "Am I dead?" Luna slowly shook her head, Hermione only noticing when she chanced to glance at her and also noticed the faint smile on her face. Hermione seemed to find some courage in this and asked, "Why did you bring me here? Is Ron okay? Is anyone okay? Is London?" As we speak, I have removed weapons from the world. The world shall be weaponless until they can be rebuilt, about a day. So it only makes sense to let things return to the original state of things, but only after I've done and said my piece. I wanted to speak with you first, though. Even Harry knows not of this," Luna uttered solemnly. Hermione looked intrigued before she remembered what Luna said. "How could you remove all the weapon? You discovered the secret of magic, didn't you? Harry said you did. Then figured it out himself. Took me the night to finally understand what I said that triggered him off. Imagination. If you look too closely for a flower, you miss the field." Luna smiled mischievously before looking serious. "No can know of this, not even you, once you leave this hallowed place. How can? It is near impossible to be able to truly defy reality with magic and imagination. But such power is reachable. It is a power I struggle not to abuse. It seemed so simple to me to not do evil, but the evil that good brings is beyond my knowledge. Every single action I take and leave causes both great and terrible things. That is the price of power. It makes every action and inaction ripple throughout the world. Imagine if the wrong sort got this power. This knowledge must die with me. No one else can know." Hermione nodded slowly, not understanding what Luna was speaking of, but surprisingly content with ignorance for once. Luna smiled before saying to the sky, "You are the smartest living person I know, Hermione. Your intellect may blind you with its rigidness, still it by far exceeds my own." Hermione frowned. "Thanks, it's the truth." Luna shrugged, causing Hermione's frown to deepen. "I need your help. This entire time, I have been dedicated to solving the secret of magic and gifting magic to the world. Now I wonder, after all this time I've been trying to achieve this, I must ask myself if I should." Luna faced Hermione and spoke. "If I give the world magic, I give it a key to its own salvation and destruction. Even limited to what a normal witch or wizard is capable of, the last few years have revealed what happens when magic is given to twisted minds with distorted morals and dreams. Yet I ponder more every day if I should take away magic from the world." Hermione stared at Luna before whispering. "What?" Luna continued undeterred. "Whatever choice I make, I must make one. I can't leave things as they are. I must restore the balance, one way or another." Luna looked up and sighed. "Much good would come if I took away their magic. Wizards would be forced to work with the muggles. People would be humbled and motivated to earn back what was lost. People would be forced to not take for granted what matters in life. But what if, by taking away their magic, I take away what makes us so special? What if I take away not only magic, but love and wonder from the world, our drive to succeed, our innovation and creativity, our imagination? It is what separates us from the animals. Though I do love animals, we can be so much more." Luna hummed tiredly. What should I do, Hermione? Do I give people a second chance? Or do I take away something as magic as sacred, as if I was taking a toy from a naughty child? The only way I can guarantee peace is by removing free will, and that is something I will not do. Luna finished with conviction before looking to Hermione, whose brain had kicked back into gear. We don't deserve a second chance, Luna. We don't deserve magic. We deserve what we have wrought, all of us. Hermione uttered sadly before looking up with a glint in her eyes. But what of the children? What of the next generation and future generations to come? What of the children who have yet to be taught how to hate? Luna, I too have been thrust into positions where I had to make impossible choices. What makes every single leader before us any different? People think the leaders of the world are the reason nothing changes, that they refuse to make a difference, and sometimes that is true. But often the truth is, many of us are trying to make a difference, we just fail. This is our one chance to make a difference, Luna. If you really do give muggles and squibs magic, you will change the world, for better or worse. We both agree a change is needed. You do this, you restart the engine of the earth. I think if you do give us this chance, you might be surprised as to what we can accomplish. The goodness of humanity will be given a chance to shine, as will our darker side. I guess I have faith that the love of humanity will prevail and see this for the gift that it is. Luna looked to Hermione seriously. And if you are wrong, then I am wrong. Hermione sighed sadly. Then nature will run its course, and we will find our ruin by our own accord. If we blow this golden opportunity, we deserve our downfall. I don't believe it, though. I can't believe it. I shan't believe it. The world is a wonderful place and is worth fighting for, and so is every single person in it. Luna smiled with a wink. I'm glad to hear that because I'm putting you in charge. Hermione blanched. In charge of what? Bridging the two worlds, Luna said with a hum. Educating the wizards of muggles and teaching muggles magic. Finding a place for the goblins and the other magical creatures of the world. I know it is a heavy burden, but there is no one more deserving of this task than yourself. Hermione looked determined as she nodded. What about you? Luna smiled. My work is about done, Hermione. I think I'm going to disappear for a little while. They used to say I was loony, but the world thinks me a prophet. And no prophet, I'm just Luna, no more, no less. Maybe you are all three, Luna, loony, and prophet all at once, Hermione uttered with a giggle before saying more seriously. You and Harry are the greatest people I have ever met in terms of heroism, and yet you are normal people. If there is one thing I've learned since entering the magical world, it's that heroes are no different than anyone else, except they do what is right, not what is easy. Luna hummed thoughtfully. If that is all that makes me a hero, I guess I can accept that. Still, I am only one of many. You too are a hero, Hermione. You consistently strive for goodness and righteousness above all else. Yet none of this makes me the prophet they dub me. Luna then smiled a smile befitting a Noggle and whispered conspiratorially to Hermione. Or maybe I am, and doth not know it. Maybe thy great magic act shall be but a muggle's magic trick. Out of thin air I shall conjure a prophet out of myself, a transfiguration that shall make McGonagall's spirit proud. Luna giggled before giving Hermione a hug. She pulled back and smiled mischievously. If the world wants me a prophet, then perhaps I should preach to them. I shall play the part and give them a sermon they won't soon forget. I shall then beget them a miracle to birth all future miracles, the miracle of magic. Then I shall vanish before they know better and make a martyr out of me. Let a legend replace me, devoid of the flaws that taint the picture but make reality so beautiful. After all, nothing ruins a magic trick like revealing how the trick is done. Hermione nodded before frowning once more and asked, Is any of this real, Xanadu, this conversation, the Noggles, or is this all in my head? Luna laughed a heartfelt laugh before replying. Of course it is all in your head, but why on earth should that mean that it is not real? Suddenly Hermione was again sucking in breath on the floor, staring up at the London sky. Ron was kneeling over her with wide, terrified eyes that suddenly shined with relief. Hermione, thank Merlin, I thought I lost you. Hermione paid him no mind as he helped her to her feet, her mind transfixed on the sight before her. It was a sight that made her jaw drop. Up in the sky was a star, far brighter than any she had ever seen before, except for the blinding sun. It was the size of the moon and shined a beautiful silver. Suddenly, the black sky rippled outward, as if the star was a stone that had been dropped into the puddle that was the night sky. As the sky continued to pulse with ripples, Hermione asked urgently, "How long was I out?" 3 minutes, Ragnar growled with frustration. "Our weapons are gone, and so are the missiles in the sky. The Muggle generals tell me that there have been reports of a worldwide disappearance of weapons." Hermione remembered Luna's words and replied, "Don't worry, Ragnar. You will have your weapons back. It's just a part of her act." "What? Never mind, there is more. The same message is being repeated across the globe. Be it in the televisions of muggles, the fires of wizards, the veils of goblins, or the stars of the centaurs." "What's the message?" Hermione asked hesitantly. Ragnar closed his eyes as he took in a deep breath and smiled with content. "The dawn is coming." It was strange how those words affected Hermione. She could see the effect it had on the goblin too. His eyes closed. She could see him imagining the light of the sun shine upon his people who for so long had been hidden beneath the earth. Envisioning a dawn he had never truly seen, a dawn that belonged to him. Hermione saw something different. She saw a future. Hermione, even after everything she had been through, still hated flying. Ron helped her dismount the shoddy broom, which had on more than one occasion tried to buck the couple off its back like a bull. "Ron, I swear to God you need to get another broom. Easy on my arm." Ron winced as Hermione held herself up by holding onto her boyfriend's bad shoulder. Witches and wizards from around the world had already arrived, with many muggles and goblins arriving on the scene. Ron ducked as a large, noisy machine flew over his head. "What the bloody is hell is that? Whatever it was, it's wicked," Ginny exclaimed as she stood by her brother, dismounting her own broom. Hermione shook her head. "It's a helicopter." Hermione's voice was drowned out by the roar of another helicopter. "Never mind." "What?" Ron asked, holding a hand to his ear. "I said, never mind." "I can't hear." "I said, never mind." Ragnar and George joined them as they followed the helicopters to the destination of this great gathering of people. As they walked, one of the Muggle generals on the scene noticed Hermione and approached. Hermione smiled as she recognized him to be one of the Queen's men. "Minister Granger, let me escort you and your generals to the appropriate destination, and pardon my manners. I did not see you, Goblin King." "I shall accommodate you as well." It was nearly 2 hours later, and there was a sea of people in every direction that stretched far beyond the sight of centaurs, let alone humans or goblins. The muggles stared at the wizards in robes and looked fearfully at the goblins. Yet none did a thing. Hermione realized that somehow Luna had indeed removed weapons from the people of the earth, and also why she did. Whatever she planned on doing it involved a lack of bloodshed as the enemies gathered together. One thing the muggles did have were cameras, lots and lots of cameras. Cameras of every shape and size as reporters and government officials clustered upon the scene. Those who could not attend were watching in some way or form, especially the muggles who were feeding footage of the gathering mob to households around the globe. Hermione and Ragnar sat with the world leaders, gathered together in uncomfortably close proximity to each other. Ron was with her, as was Ragnar's most trusted companion, whose name she knew not, while the rest of the LLR was nearby in the mob. The makeshift shelter made Hermione shake her head, as the uptight politicians used the platform to put themselves above the people. Hermione did reluctantly admit that she had no interest of being lost and consumed in the cluster of people. The cold winds of winter was rebuffed by the tent that sheltered Hermione and the other leaders. But outside it, the people let the cold burn their skin as they sang songs and awaited salvation. Hermione continued to observe the cause of the gathering, the bright star in the sky. However, it was not a star, but a ball of sparkling white light, the size of a small house that floated over this seemingly random piece of the land, and shined a light so bright the whole world could see, yet blinded no one. It had taken not 5 minutes since arriving for Ron to realize where they were. Hold on. I think we are near the burrow. In fact, I think something else is supposed to be here. It was an odd thing. Hermione had also felt that something was mysteriously missing. Hermione had pondered this for a minute before a realization struck her. Whatever was here must be under a Fidelius charm. That is why we do not remember it. Ron, this must be where Luna is. Still the brightest witch of your age, but aren't you forgetting someone? Harry chuckled playfully. Hermione blushed at his compliment and mockingly hit Harry. Of course, I didn't forget you, Ha. Hermione nearly snapped her neck as she performed a sudden double take. Harry! Ron jumped at Hermione's shout before noticing Harry and laughing at Harry's face as Hermione hugged him. Ron hugged Harry on the other side, causing poor Harry to squirm under their grip. I'll get you for this, Ron. Only after they parted did they notice the other world leaders looking upon their reunion with contempt and disdain. Hermione looked bashfully to the ground at losing her composure while Harry just smiled at the leaders. He raised his hand in mock salute and uttered, Watcher! Harry noticed the British Prime Minister utter to his main general. Who the devil is that? Is he supposed to be here? Please do not speak about me as if I'm not here. If you would like to know my most dishonorable acquaintance, I would suggest you request it to my person. Harry uttered with a fake posh accent. I say, such gall, the British Prime Minister uttered, offended, while another leader seemed to slither towards Harry and shook his hand. I'm the President of the United States, the man uttered, reminding Harry of Gilderoy Lockhart, only uglier. Of course you know my name as I know yours, Herald, and as you can see this is a gathering of world leaders. Harry glanced at the other leaders and uttered in a bad American accent, Yo! Harry strutted to the center of the room mockingly as he looked down upon the leaders that towered before him. Does any of you know why you are here? Of course. I don't. To hear from this moonchild that my people keep speaking about. I thought it was because of the aliens. You mean the lizard people. I'm a goblin, not some cold-blooded weasel with scales. I want my weapons back. Shut up, Harry shouted, silencing the group. Harry raised his wand and grinned. You idiots blew up the planet. Luna stopped this from happening, but you still did it. You all pressed your big buttons for no reason other than your own vanity and pride. Your pride is not the kind to be proud of. I have spent my entire short but eventful life dealing with people like you. People who believe in law and order as long as it is theirs. People who believe in justice as long as it ignores their own crimes. People who believe one thing but turn a blind eye for the sake of power, ambition, and greed. How many wars have you started because your overinflated ego was offended? As far as I'm concerned, you are all failures. You have failed this planet. Of course, many of you were not yourselves. Many of you were under the control of someone else. Harry looked upon certain leaders, including the British Prime Minister, who looked uneasy, and the President of the United States, who was fuming. Harry laughed a scathing laugh. You know, if I was under the control of the Totalitter and had been freed from their possession, I would tell someone and do everything in my power to prevent it from happening again to myself or others. Harry shook his head with disgust. Yet you all say nothing. You are ashamed to reveal weakness, afraid to lose power. You'd rather be a puppet in power, a slave with a crown, than be free as a human. Harry looked to the Queen. In some cases, age gives us wisdom, and this is a key to being in a position of power. The Queen smiled and Harry bowed before turning on the other leaders. On other occasions, age leads to stubbornness and arrogance. You are outdated, obsolete, and behind the times, yet your ego refuses you to allow change. Mark my words, the hell you rot is known, that you would rather destroy the world than let it slide out of your control. Harry looked at the world leaders from around the world, both magical and muggle. The problem isn't that many of you are old, but you have not a shred of wisdom to you. For someone to have lived a long life and have not an ounce of wisdom to his person is someone who does not understand life. So in the case of those who have no wisdom, I have as message. The world has changed. Step down with dignity while you still have it, or you will be lost in the seas of change. Now I bid thee fuck off. Ha, ha, ha. The Nargle's cackle signaled the tented platform to tilt to the side, flinging many of the leader to the ground, where the people mocked and laughed. Others remained on the platform as if their feet had been glued to the surface. Harry smiled before conjuring seats out of thin air. He played the gentleman and helped the women to their seats as the men sat themselves. The Queen smiled as he did this, while Hermione simply hissed in his ear. "What is going on?" Harry smiled as he sat beside her and looked upon Ron as well. "You'll see." As he said this, the ball of light started to shimmer, and the gathering masses went silent as if death had fallen upon them. Harry leaned next to Hermione and whispered in her ear, "Let the show begin." The ball of light above them suddenly exploded with a spectral of colors that rivaled the greatest of fireworks, causing the audience to scream and cheer with both wonder, awe, and terror. Then a figure seemed to appear, a figure as mythical as any ever seen. A figure with hair of silver and skin of diamonds, a being that exuded power, strength, and wisdom. A figure that popped like a balloon, letting out an undignified sound. All that remained was tiny bits of silver confetti which slowly fell to the ground. The crowd began to grumble with confusion when a soft voice caught their attention. There, where the confetti fell, beneath the silver star which had vanished, where not a moment before had been where no one had dared tread, stood a girl. The girl looked hardly older than 17, despite her childlike appearance making her appear younger. Her hair was blonde, and her skin was white, her eyes silver and wide, full of both wisdom and whimsy. She was short but tall, and her face held a dreamy smile. The girl giggled as she whispered, "Confetti is very useful, you know. It keeps away the Nargles." The crowd was silent with confusion as the girl looked around her. Not that I have anything against the Nargles, but they can be a bother when one must be serious. The crowd was still silent as one person audibly muttered, "What the bloody hell?" Luna's face gave a faint blush as she uttered, "Oh, pardon me, I haven't introduced myself properly. My name is Luna, Luna Lovegood, Luna Pure Lovegood. Actually, my full name is Luna Martha Rowena, Newt Pure Demincy Benjamin, Lovegood the First." Luna smiled as she said this, but the crowd seemed even more confused as a restless murmur grew over them. This was it. This was Luna Lovegood, the girl whose exploits had been whispered throughout the world and become that of modern-day myths. This prophet that would hold their answers was nothing more than a quirky girl who was hardly 18 years old. Hermione looked nervously to Harry, who simply smiled with love and pride at Luna. Luna looked confused herself at the crowd's reaction. "What? Were you expecting something else?" The crowd began to get more agitated as they closed in around the space Luna occupied. Shouts started ringing out as the mob turned angry. One man shouted, "You said you would help us." Luna frowned. "I never said a thing. I said I would finish my mother's work. I believe it will be most beneficial to you. However, outside of this, there is nothing I can do to help you. I cannot stop this war, this madness, or this fighting. I am only human after all, at least I think I am." There was a moment of silence, then the shouting started. "Help us against the Muggle masses. Help us against the Magi threat. The squib is a Magi, you idiot, and call us wizards. Are you the daughter of God? Great philosopher who wins the next Quidditch World Cup. George, you're not helping. Sorry, Ginny. Mental that one, I'm telling you." Luna had a vague sense of déjà vu as the ground all but engulfed her. For a moment, she found herself back on the Hogwarts Express, being hounded by the students about her wandless magic. The shouting grew louder and louder as the mob pushed their way towards her in desperation. "Help us!" Luna blinked twice and uttered with a voice that seemed to reverberate through the field, "Help yourselves." Suddenly, the crowd was thrown backwards as a wave of magic separated Luna from the crowd. The air crackled with static electricity as Luna took in their stunned faces, suddenly looking upon her in a new light. Another voice cried out, "They said you could save us. They say you're our prophet." Luna shook her head. "That's what you say. You say that I am. Yet you do not know me. You have not met me. You have no idea who I am or what I have been through, what I have experienced, and what I have suffered. It was you who dubbed me a prophet, not I nor anyone else." Luna seemed to stand taller as she spoke, conviction in her eyes. "You asked that I help you. You prayed for it. I don't know why or how. You ask of me something that no one can give. I cannot stop you from destroying each other, not without forsaking free will. A life without freedom is no life at all, and it would be better if you destroyed yourselves. Humanity is no longer a child, ignorant of its savage behavior. It is as the fool said to the king, 'If thou wert my fool, I'd have thee beaten for being old before thy time. Thou shouldst not have been old till thou hadst been wise.'" Luna sighed with sympathy. "I know many things, but I know not why the world is as it is. I don't know why the good die young. I don't know why the good that men do is often littered with their bones, while the evil they do lives on. I don't know why the way to hell is paved with good intentions. I don't know how many times the bullets must fly before they are forever banned. I don't know what happens after we die, or who begot this world with such love and hatred. I don't know why some are born with magic, and others not. I don't know why some are born with parents, and others not. Why must there be orphans and diseases? Why children must cry when they are born when they should be so happy to have been blessed with life? I don't know why my family, which I cherish so much, has left this world, or why my only living relative is in a mental health ward. I don't know how a mother could abandon her child, or why we teach children to hate others for being different. I don't know how I came to be blessed with love, or how I ever lived without it. I know none of these things. All I know, that 9 years ago my mother died, trying to make the world a better place, and 9 years later, I have finally finished what she started. Luna went silent as she looked at the people around her. They waited with bated breath, hope burning strong in their eyes. She could see women and children, both weak and strong. She could see people stretched out as far as the eye could see. Luna felt a warmth come over her, and she felt her mother and father's spirit with her as she felt her magic hum in the air. Luna raised her hands as she closed her eyes, as if she was about to perform a pagan ritual. She whispered, yet all heard her, "I have with me a gift for you all. I pray to the Moon Mother's spirit you do not forsake it, but I have faith that you will do the right thing." Luna raised her hands and clapped them, and suddenly the stars in the sky fell as if they were but sprinkles. Hermione was reminded of a cartoon she had seen as a child, where pixie dust was used to allow children to fly. As the stardust fell, a mystical aura seemed to appear around Luna as she spoke to the heavens. "In the name of the Moon Mother, let your work be done." Around the world, be it day or night, the world seemed to be raining star dust. Yet as the stardust landed around inhabitants of Earth, strange things started happening. Random objects like plates, books, chairs, televisions, and cars started levitating. Muggles screamed in horror, then cried with happiness like children as they slowly began to grasp what was happening. People suffering from diseases were cured, and many aging folks felt 20 years younger. In a small cottage in the outskirts of London, a horrified Dudley was being chased by a pig he had somehow conjured out of thin air. Petunia, who had suddenly transfigured her flower garden into lilies, let out a loud shriek and fainted. In a mental ward hospital, a bunch of strange individuals of all colors, shapes, and sizes, as the stardust fell, transformed into normal-looking human beings and found themselves with a clarity they had thought long lost. One of these individuals was a middle-aged man with graying hair. He looked at his hands and looked out the window and watched the rising sun. Healers analyzed the sudden changes and treated the patients, while one approached the middle-aged man. Evan, we need to perform a few spells on you to find out what's happened and if you are well. I've never been better. Evan sighed as the healer dragged him by the arm. Luna did it. Healer, please call me Evander. I like that name. Back at the gathering, people cried as they felt an overwhelming wave of happiness engulf them, as for the first time, magic entered their being. As the people reveled in their gift, Luna turned to the east and watched as the yellow sun rose from the horizon. Luna closed her eyes and bathed in its warmth as the light seemed to shine on her alone. Harry looked on amazed as the sun made her skin glow with such life. In a way the moon never could, she seemed to be reborn in that moment. As Luna opened her teary eyes and looked upon Harry with all the happiness in her heart, an understanding passed between them as they both realized with sudden clarity that her work was finally done. In their moment of euphoria, Luna's voice suddenly cut through and brought their attention back to her. Look to the east. You see it now, the dawn that was promised. It is the dawn you always missed, the dawn you never saw. Think of how close you all came to never seeing it again. As I speak, you should all be dead, just as my mother prophesied. Now with the gift of magic, let you not waste it. Do not make my suffering be in vain, nor the suffering of my mother and father, who died for this moment, the death of my friends and enemies, and the all who died too young for this moment to come. Now in their name you have one last chance. If you think this magic changes the world, you are blind. Magic cannot change the world. There is no solution in my possession. I have told you before, I don't have the answers to the questions that plague us. I do know that the world can change. You do what is right, not what is easy. You want answers, you want to end war, then stop fighting. The answers are there before you. Fundamental truths of humanity that have been taught to you 1,000 times before. Let life triumph over death. Let love triumph over hate. Let happiness triumph over sorrow. Let good triumph over evil. Let hope triumph over doubt. Let dreams triumph over nightmares. Let truth triumph over lies. Let knowledge triumph over ignorance. Let ambition triumph over greed. And let nothing triumph over morality. These are not secrets. You know all this, yet you choose to ignore it. Evil exists because we let it exist. Darkness controls us because we let it. You look to prophets to cure you, yet all they do is speak what has already been spoken. We have the key to our own salvation and redemption. We have the power to do great and terrible things. The sooner we understand this, the sooner we can control our own fate. That is how you conquer your demons. You understand them and reject them. It might not be easy, but it is simple. With this magic, you can achieve a utopia the likes of which this world has never seen before. This magic could be the evolution of our people, our society. It can bring about a world where world peace and freedom are not conflicting ideologies that cannot be united, but are as real as the sun that rises to greet you. Or maybe you don't change. Maybe you let your hate overcome your love, and you thirst for blood, overcome your desire to preserve it. It is up to you whether you seize this chance of a new dawn, or whether another sun should rise, this time in the west, made of man and hellfire. Why are you so willing to throw your life away for your country, your race, your loved ones? You all seem to want to die for a higher purpose. Don't you understand that when you throw your life away, you die in vain? If we don't stop fighting, we will all die in vain. Every day this pointless violence continues. We spit on the graves of those who died. But if we stop, put down our weapons, and join hands in friendship, when the last war has ended and the hatred in our hearts is forever cleansed, then the dead shall rise and their spirits shall cry, victory. For the dream they died for now becomes reality, and not one of them has died in vain. This magic is only power. It is up to you to make it magic. If you lose the magic, you suffer the same fate the wizards and witches of the world suffered. My mother once told me, things may seem dark now, but dawn is going to be astounding. It is a dawn I have dreamed would come to pass, but feared I would never live to see. Now I see it, the night is over, and there is the dawn. The storm is over, and there is the rainbow rising over there on the horizon. If ever you doubt in yourselves, Look upon a rainbow or the glorious sun. For the beauty of the world, if ever you feel that darkness can never be defeated, look upon the moon, for even in the darkest night, the moon is out there to shine a light. As the many people looked upon the dawn, their hearts filled with hope. Some looked back to Luna, wondering what rainbow she referred to, as there was none they could see. When they did, they gasped in shock. For as suddenly as she had appeared, Luna Lovegood had vanished, leaving nothing behind but a wand, pointing towards the dawn. Hermione felt the air snap to her side and looked to see Harry, too, had vanished. Hermione looked to Ron, whose face mirrored her own. "Don't worry, I'm sure we'll see them again," Hermione nodded. "I'll miss them, though. Who knows where they are off to?" Ron shook his head. "Off to the next adventure, or at least a much-needed break." "I know that's what I'm doing." Ragnar laughed as he wiped what looked suspiciously like a tear from his eye. "Our work has just begun, Weasley. We got to rebuild and make sure the Moon Mother did not die in vain. Or Phileas," Ron sighed. "Shit," Hermione laughed as she wrapped an arm around his shoulder, then another around the Goblin King's head. "It's not so bad. Things will be rough, but... well, I guess I just have faith things will work themselves out in the end." As Hermione looked out at the people, she realized they were singing a different song, singing that they shall overcome, and as they did, she understood what they all saw in Luna, what Harry saw in Luna. She had seen the wisdom of youth and the light in her eyes that should have long been put out. Whatever beatings she had suffered, both psychical and metaphorical, she had endured. She retained her innocence and gained only wisdom. Hermione felt unshed tears in her eyes as she laughed to herself, remarking how the loony, the outcast, the individual, the butt of jokes and taunts, the one who read the Quibbler upside down, spoke of fiction as fact, and dressed like a hippie, was Luna, who shined the brightest of them all. On the mysterious island of Xanadu, two magical beings walked up towards the tower, holding hands as they did so. Luna rested her head on Harry's shoulder, suddenly looking very tired. As they approached the tower, a voice spoke from behind them. "And so it comes to pass that the pupils return as masters. Harry Potter, the master of death, Luna Lovegood, the master of life. Together you are guardians, guards of this time. Immortal, mythical, legendary, and yet nothing more than ordinary Harry and Luna. Simple people I know, and do love like children of my own." Luna smiled gently. "You speak words of kindness, but words unwanted. I am no master, just servant who has finished her work and now only desires rest." "Rest as in?" Nicola's Flamel frowned as he trailed off, making a motion of cutting his throat. Luna's eyes widened at Flamel. "Goodness no, I just want a vacation." "I've been rather busy lately." Harry shook his head sadly. "You have been a spirit for too long, Flamel." The ghost nodded sadly. "Apologies, but I have not known rest in years. For me, rest is death, a death that never comes." "That is partially why we are here," Luna replied. "Rest, we would like to stay here for a while. No missions and no quests. I was wondering if you would mind us staying." Flamel smiled. "You are always welcome here. I missed you a great deal. Not to be rude, but I believe there is some place you would rather be." Luna hummed as Harry removed a stone from his pocket. "With your wife." Flamel gave a confused look before his eyes drifted to the stone of resurrection. Harry spoke. "You have told us of your woes. You have been a ghost for too long. I am offering you chance to finally rest," and Flamel looked up at Harry in a stunned silence, causing Luna to giggle. "It is up to you, but it is a choice you should make quickly. You see, we do not wish to be guardians or masters. We just wish to be Harry and Luna, no more, no less." Flamel smiled proudly. "I assume you will keep your cloak, Harry Potter." "Yes, but the wand and stone shall find themselves tossed into the sea," Harry confirmed. Flamel looked to Luna, who smiled. "I shall forget the secret to magic, so as not to be tempted by it. Power is so tempting for even the noblest of souls, which I am not." "I vehemently disagree," Harry retorted, causing Flamel to laugh. "Your wisdom belies your years, so it shall be," Flamel uttered solemnly. "Let it be known, master of life, master of death, the master of everything, shall rule over nothing." Harry smiled and raised the stone. You ready, Flame, to join your life in the afterlife? The ghost let out a nervous, non-existent breath. I confess, having waited so long for this moment. Now that it's here, I find myself afraid. I don't want to die to go gently into that good night. I'm frightened. And yet, I see her face that haunts my pitiful, lifeless life. I have not lived a day since you left me, Perenelle. Your sad eyes, which miss me, that weep in my dream, for I have abandoned you to the eternal void of death alone. I'm tired. I have had more than I deserved. Oh, sweet wife, sweet love, I'm ready. Please, Harry, let me look upon her face again. Let me go home, Harry nodded as he raised the stone and Flame's spirit started to fade. Harry and Luna spoke as one. Farewell, Nicola's Flame. Farewell, my children. May magic forever bless you for this. Flame whispered before he recited. I stood within the pleasure dome decreed by Kubla Khan. I tasted anew the fruits of life, the last immortal man. But now I return home at last. For even immortal men must die, for I have dined on honeydew, and seen the face of paradise. Harry and Luna held hands and watched as Flamel's ghost faded until he vanished into thin air. Luna's leg buckled under her, and if it wasn't for Harry catching her, she would have fallen to the ground. Luna, are you okay? Luna sighed tiredly. It's too much, this power. It will destroy me, leave me mad. I may not have shown it, Harry, but giving magic to the world was the most exhausting thing I've ever done. May I borrow your wand? Harry nodded and quickly handed Luna his wand and said, Are you okay? Do you need any help? Luna shook her head. I have strength for this. Luna aimed the wand at Harry and whispered, Neither of us can remember the secret of magic. Harry nodded and said with a wink, Knowledge is power, but power is overrated. Luna laughed as she held the wand in front of both of their faces, looking into each other's eyes. Obliviate! A white light flashed before their eyes, and just like that, the secret of magic was a mystery once more. Luna sighed, feeling as if the weight of the world was lifted from her shoulders. She wrapped her arms around Harry, and the two lay down on the ground. Harry caressed Luna's hair with his hand as he whispered, Are you okay? Luna nodded dreamily. It's just funny, I finished my mother's work, yet failed to fulfill her primary goal. What do you mean? Harry asked worriedly. Luna smiled. I pushed myself to the limit, giving magic to the world. I'm afraid I had nothing left for myself. Harry's face fell. You mean you're the last squib? Luna sighed sadly. I believe I have cast my last spell. Harry felt sorrow overcome him as he held Luna closely. I'm sorry, Luna. If I could, I'd give you my magic. Luna hummed. It is not magic I lack, just the power to wield it. Do you still love me, Harry? Harry nodded vehemently. Of course I do, more than life itself. Luna smiled and hugged Harry tightly. Then I have all the magic in the world. Your love is all I ever really wanted. I believe all my mother ever really wanted was my happiness. I see nothing in the future but happiness and love. Luna smiled as she kissed Harry passionately before whispering softly, I may no longer remember the secret to magic, but I have found something far more rare and powerful, the secret to happiness. Harry smiled as he felt emotions overcome him. He thought back to when he was a lonely child with a life devoid of love and realized how much it had changed. Now he had friends, family, and the love of his life, and he owed quite a bit of it to this most curious girl. In a hoarse voice he choked out, I think I have too. As they rested in silence, Luna suddenly spoke. I must admit, there is one more thing I would like to do. Lyrics included in this chapter belong to Bob Dylan's Let Me Die in My Footsteps, and altered lyrics of Rush's Xanadu also quote from King Lear by Shakespeare. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is just about over. After more than 2 years of hard work, this story is now one small epilogue away from being finished. I shall speak more to you then, but I would like to quickly give a shout-out to all my fans and supporters. I shall have more to write after my story is finished. Chapter 54, Luna's Dream. Tensions continue to mount between the goblins and the humans as treaty talks have again turned sour. The Goblin King of England, Ragnarok, was said to have unleashed a profanity-laced rant at the British Prime Minister when talks turned to Goblin reservations. A more appropriate statement was put out by the Goblin people declaring that they wished to live as equals with humans and not to be subjected to the same treatment of Native Americans during the bloody colonization of North America. The Prime Minister stated that Ragnar's rant was very offensive to Native Americans. The Goblin replied that his thoughts on Native Americans are no different than his thoughts on other humans. They all taste the same when cooked. So treat us like the people we are, or we will treat humans like the swine. On brighter news, an uneasy alliance has formed between the old Magi and the rest of the formerly mundane North America. The alliance features all three countries, USA, Canada, and Mexico. Goblins have also stated they are happy with the agreements and offer support to the ongoing negotiations in Britain. Click. Is the famed lunar Lovegood really a Lovegood? Shocking developments may shock you. Are the rumors true that Luna's real mother was none other than the infamous magical dictator Dolores Umbridge, who Luna helped overthrow? Also, how did Umbridge die? Was it from her madness or murdered by her own alleged dot? Click. The centaurs are far more receptive to talks of reservations as they have no desire to live in the civilized world or even be classified as non-beasts. To them, the idea of being separate from nature is an abominable sin. Despite living in the wild forests, centaurs have proven to be as intelligent and civilized as any culture we have seen. They are, however, dangerously territorial. In this documentary, I have been given a rare opportunity to observe and submerge myself in the centaur culture. They are very wary of my presence and of cameras, so it will be somewhat regulated, as the centaurs keep their sacred rituals and secrets close to their chests. If I were to violate their laws, I would be at the mercy of their justice. Click. As the Minister of Magical Britain, Hermione Granger has played a key role in trying to desegregate a new magical world. In an interview, Granger pointed out that, for many muggles or mundane people, they were living in a segregated world and did not even know it. I know this might prove to be even more tricky than desegregating the USA, which had largely been split into groups of white and African Americans. This process resulted in riots, violence, and hate crimes. I would like to believe we are all better people and have learned from the previous generation. However, I am prepared for the worst, as change is rarely easy. When asked of the ongoing threats of assassination by the terrorist organization known as the Totaliter, Granger simply stated, "People have been trying to kill me since I was 12 years old. Threats are not worth my time." What has she been working on? In fact, I am proud to announce the launch of the first magically powered and manned exhibition to other planets. We have begun colonizing the moon, but that is just the beginning. The shuttle will be heading across the solar system, installing portkeys on other planets to colonize. We will then begin making the environments more hospitable for Earth life. With magic, we might be able to travel faster than the speed of light and create wormholes to teleport us across the universe. With magic, we might also be able to solve the mysteries of quantum physics. In fact, magic might be the very thing we call dark matter. Of course, only time will tell if that's the case. Together, magic and science can do things we believe to be impossible. Click. So let me get this straight. Your boyfriend is a goblin. I don't see what the problem is. We love each other, and to deny us our love is racism. The question isn't a matter of race, but of species. Sure, a goblin is a person like you and I, but are goblins even human? Am I not human? But if you cut us, we will bleed, and if you hurt us, we will die. If we see a beautiful woman, do we not love? I am as much of a person as you are a healer, Philip. It's just Phil. Up next, we have a man who says he is a centaur trapped in a human body. Click. Breaking news. There has been another terrorist attack. This latest attack took place in the magical city of Rawdon, taking the lives of 10 individuals and injuring 20 more. Once more, this is believed to be work of the Totaliter, who continue to fight to reclaim magic from the Muggles. The USA has offered condolences, and have doubled down on their promise to destroy the enemy with the power of the American army. Click! It has been 1 year to the day Luna Lovegood bestowed magic to the people of the earth. Some say she's a prophet, others say a lunatic. Some religious groups have decried her to be the Antichrist, and that magic's the devil's work. Tonight at 9:00, we give you a special report as we look into Lovegood's past, from her mysterious youth as a squib to her mother's tragic murder. We uncover her school years, where she went from eccentric bullied dreamer to rebellious fighter against a wizarding terrorist movement that pulled a coup on the magical ministry. We tell of her experience as a hostage of war and how she fought alongside Harry Potter in the battle for blood rights. We speak of the turmoil following the reopening of Hogwarts and the love story that has captured romantics' hearts around the world, when Lovegood found true love in the form of war hero Harry Potter. Tonight we reveal what is known of Luna's past and try to fill the gaps that are scattered through Luna's checkered history. However, more debatable than her past is Luna's current whereabouts. Some say she died giving her life for the world. Some say she went back to the moon. Others say Mars. Many more say she's not an alien. Those who are friends with her say they have received sporadic correspondence from her, but that she offers little to no information about her whereabouts or her condition. The fact is, we don't know. One thing we do know is that 1 year to the day, Miss Lovegood gave magic to the world and then disappeared into myth and legend. Where she is now, only God or Merlin knows. Click! Hermione shut off the TV and rubbed her tired eyes. She needed a vacation, but the big day was a month away. She was admittedly frightened the mission could end in disaster, but she remembered something Dumbledore had once written in a book. Nothing easy is found in uncharted territory. It is in the unknown that discoveries are made. Hermione heard a knock on her office door and sighed. Ron, shouldn't you be at work? Hermione opened the door and gasped. Standing in the doorway was a smirking Harry Potter. Hermione practically squealed as she gave him one of her patented hugs. Harry, I missed you so much. It feels like years. Tell me about it, Harry uttered with a smile. Hermione pulled back and took in her friend's appearance. It may have been a year since Harry and Luna vanished, but Harry seemed to have aged at least 5 years. He was growing a small beard, and his hair was longer and as wild as ever. He also wasn't wearing glasses. Harry shrugged as she noticed this and mumbled, I kept breaking my glasses, so I just got contacts. I'm still getting used to the bloody things. It's a wonderful day to see you again, Hermione. A voice uttered to their right, causing Hermione to jump back and reach for her wand, only for Harry's invisibility cloak to fall to the floor. There she was, smiling serenely as ever. Hermione couldn't help but be amazed by how beautiful Luna looked. She also looked older, though she didn't show it as obviously as Harry, who smiled from behind Luna. Luna's skin was tanned, not unlike Harry's, and her hair was longer. She seemed to have gained weight, possibly recovering from her time in the dungeons of the Ministry of Magic. The dreamy look in her eyes was still there, but it had largely been replaced by happiness, love, and awareness of her present state. Hermione honestly had never seen Luna look more human, though it could have been from too much exposure to the media, who spoke often of her promotion to the mythical figure the world saw her as. Luna gestured to the cloak. Sorry for startling you, but I didn't want to be seen yet. I just got back, and it's most strange how a little bit of fame makes people forget their manners. I find it rather rude. Hermione shook her head fondly as she hugged Luna too, before pulling back with a laugh. Now I know you two have aged in this paradise of yours. Not in a bad way, of course. You look more, well, not grown up, but mature, Harry shrugged. I thought it's been a few years. When we came back, we found out only one has gone by. Sadly, I don't think we will be going back there. We felt it was time to rejoin the real world. Hermione's face brightened. So why have you come here of all places? Luna shrugged. Honestly, I have no idea where here is. Harry just gave me this dirty shoe Ronald had owled him and told me to put on his cloak, and the next thing I know, I'm here. I assume this was a portkey. I don't like portkeys. Harry laughed as Hermione looked at Harry with narrow eyes. Why is Ron mailing classified portkeys? And are you telling me Luna has no idea where she is? Harry grinned. It's a surprise. I know where I am, judging by the pictures on the wall. I'm in your office. I assume inside the Ministry of Magic. Luna answered with a smile. Hermione glared at Harry with tight lips as she growled. No, it's not. First, don't blame Ron. You would have given me the portkey either way. He just cracked faster. Harry replied quickly. I know we aren't supposed to be here, but I promise we won't be long. I just couldn't pass up this opportunity. Harry turned to Luna, who looked on with intrigue. Luna's given so much and has asked for nothing in return, but I felt it's my job to repay her, if not for what she's done for others, then what she's done for me. Besides, it's her birthday. Luna blushed under his praise, while Hermione's stern demeanor gave way to an exasperated sigh. You really don't do things halfway, Harry. I have a most unordinary girlfriend. She deserves an extraordinary birthday. Harry laughed as Luna blushed some more. It's not like it's much of a problem, at least not anymore. Luna may have spread magic to the world, but you have done an amazing job with it. Besides, I promise we won't be too long. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Hermione shook her head. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Harry shrugged. Probably, Hermione sighed with frustration, but failed to hide her amusement from Harry. Fine, you both more than deserve it. Merlin, give me strength. Luna looked between the two. I'm normally not interested in presents. I have rarely received any from anyone outside my parents, but I confess myself to be most curious. Hermione chuckled. Well, normally, this wouldn't be possible. In fact, doing this will help you understand of how much you've changed things, Luna. I know I've changed things, Luna sighed with a tired look. Though if I'm not mistaken, many things sadly remain the same. Change takes time, Luna, Hermione replied sadly. You can't expect everyone to become friends overnight. A year ago, they were on the verge of blowing each other up. Wars were fought and people died. Goblins killed by wizards, dementors killed by goblins. People don't forget that overnight. Families don't forget who killed their parents and children. Change will come, Luna agreed with a wise nod. Though in what way, I cannot begin to guess. It's out of my hands now. It's up to everyone else to make the world a better place. I just hope they are up to the task. Trust me, Hermione, I know what it is to lose the people you love. Hermione rubbed her eyes and muttered, Me too, but enough of this. Let me show you where we are, then I'm going to give Ron a piece of my mind. You two still dating? Harry asked. Hermione smiled, somewhat strained. Yes. We are, Harry. That's nice, Hermione, Luna replied with a smile as she subtly handed Harry what looked like a galleon. Hermione frowned. Did you bet on my relationship with Ron? I have no idea what you are talking about, Luna replied innocently. I don't believe you. You thought we would break in up, Hermione exclaimed before looking sternly at Harry. Thanks for believing in us. It's very impressive that you've been a couple for nearly 2 years, and at no point broke up and got back together, Luna praised with a twinkle in her eye. Hermione was silent before walking past them. Shut up. Harry laughed as they followed her out of the office and down the hallway. Luna whispered as Harry handed back 2 galleons. How long did you give them before their first break-up? End of May, Harry replied, causing Luna to laugh. Love is a most curious thing that continues to defy logic, Luna proclaimed before shaking her head with whimsy. The two laughed before Hermione called out, If you two are done gossiping, I can start applying the charms written on the wall on yourselves. They are written on the wall. I will cast the spells you don't know, as some of them are new. Luna shook her head. I'm afraid you or Harry will have to help me with that. Hermione looked between Luna and Harry. Harry simply nodded with a sad smile before wrapping his arm around Luna. I told you she gave a lot for us all. Hermione looked at Luna with sympathy. It's not fair. You of all people deserve magic. No one deserves anything, Hermione, Luna replied with a contented smile. Yes, but it's one thing to be a squib, but in this world of your own making, it's like, Hermione trailed off. Luna grinned, yet her eyes held a steel to them. I'm disabled, a cripple in a world of my own making. Is that what you believe? I confess I would have loved to have magic. How could I not? But that's not why I did all this. Maybe it was at first, but along the way, I learned what really mattered. You say I didn't get what I deserved. That's not true. I didn't get what I wanted, but sometimes you get something more important. You get what you need. I would give up all the magic in the world to be as happy as I am right now. I might not have any magic powers, but with my Harry, I'm just as magical as you are. Harry grinned and gave Luna a kiss while Hermione tearfully looked away, muttering something about being cheesy. Luna heard and replied. Saying something is cheesy is a way of protecting ourselves from feeling emotions. It protects us from appreciating raw emotion and true beauty. They are magical words that have a power over us. Of course, other times it's just cheese. Hermione shook her head as she cast a ton of spells, some of which even Luna had never heard before. Perhaps you're right, but I am too. That was cheesy. Luna's eyes widened as Hermione cast one last big spell before casting charms on Harry. Why do I need all these charms on me? Hermione laughed. So you don't die. Before Luna could respond, Hermione waved her wand at the door. Have fun, you two. Don't wander too far. Luna's eyes lit up with excitement. The door slowly started to slide open. The sound of gears grinding filled the room. The wider the door opened, the wider Luna's eyes grew. By the time the door had opened as far as it could, and a loud clanging sound echoed through the hallway, Luna was pale and stunned. She let out a shaky breath as she felt Harry grab her hand for support. Merlin! Hermione giggled at Luna's expression. Are you okay? Luna sucked in a deep breath as she felt tears in her eyes. I think I'm going to faint. Luna looked to Hermione, opened and closed her mouth twice before she finally uttered. How? Hermione smiled brightly, looking a little teary-eyed herself. I believe in karma. Positive actions lead to positive reactions. How are we here? It's because of your work, Luna. Without it, we could never do something like this, not for at least decades. You gave us the ability to make our dreams come true, and it works for you as well. Luna shuddered as tears ran down her cheeks. She felt Harry wrap his arms around her as he whispered, Let's go outside. Luna nodded, smiling brightly. Slowly, with Harry's hand in hers, they stepped towards the doorway and walked through a transparent purple ward of magic. Luna felt strange, as if she was floating, which wasn't entirely wrong as she slowly fell 10 feet and landed on the rocky surface of the moon. Luna looked behind her to see Hermione smiling from the doorway above her. Welcome to Base Omega. America has Base Alpha about a mile from here. You can see it in the distance, but don't go near there, they might think you're aliens. Don't do anything to dispel the charms I cast on you if you enjoy breathing and not freezing to death, among other things. Other than that, stay in sight of this station and use the portkey to get back inside. I'll be watching from here just in case. Luna hadn't heard a word of this. She was already walking across the moon with a smile, laughing as she jumped. I must be dreaming. I feel like I'm flying. It just like magic. Harry just smiled as he followed her. He would always follow her to the end of the earth, even when they weren't on it. Luna wasn't sure how long she was jumping before she truly looked up and felt her heart stop beating. There it was, the earth. Harry, look. It's beautiful. Harry stood away from her and took in the sight. Luna was absolutely angelic as she stood there, but even her beauty was almost rivaled by the image of the earth. It was unlike any of the pictures he had seen. They simply could do no justice to the real thing. The earth was huge and divine, full of heavenly white clouds, lush green plants, and blue oceans as pure as a child's eyes. His own eyes were still drawn to Luna, who looked up at the earth with a look of awe and wonder. The image nudged a thought in the back of his mind, but he couldn't think of it. It's funny, Luna whispered solemnly. All this time I wanted to go to that little grey circle in the sky, yet compared to the earth, the moon feels so normal. The moon isn't really that important, at least not in comparison. It's just a grey rock. There's nothing here. Yet from up here, you can truly see how wonderful, how special, how rare the earth really is. As far as we know, there is nothing else like it out there, and if there is, it still wouldn't be the same. It makes me think of how insignificant we are, and yet how special everything is. We are all individuals. Every single one of us is unique as this planet, and every time someone dies, we lose something special. It's okay, though, because every time a child is born, the world glows a little brighter. It makes me think of how close we came to losing everything. I knew more about magic than anyone that has ever lived, and yet I didn't learn anything, at least not anything important. Magic is not magic if we know the secret. This was never about magic. This was about you, me, and those we love. I have changed the world, but does it matter? In the end, the world still turns. Good and evil still exists in our hearts. People will still do great and terrible things. Life is not about what we do, it's about how we do it and who we do it with. I fear for them. I fear for the rough times ahead of them. But every mother knows when to let go and watch their child bloom, like the flower you know they are. My mother's work will be taken up by others, but now I am finished. My life's my own now, though my heart belongs to you. Our journey has only just begun. The world in its most basic form will never truly change. I had power, I had glory. It doesn't mean a thing to me, because all I need is the one thing we all need, love. Until they learn to love, they will never change. But as long as we know this, then our lives are blessed, and our existence is fulfilled. In the light of love, nothing else matters. Harry, I shall never be able to make you understand how much I love you for showing me that. Harry smiled as he realized what had nudged his mind earlier. He remembered words that had been uttered to him so long ago by the woman who had started it all. He could practically hear the words of Pandora Lovegood in his mind. You know what I saw before I died? I had an indescribable vision. I saw the most beautiful thing in the world itself. And you, dear Luna, even more beautiful than the world itself, was not a part of it. In my vision, you were wishing you could go back. I wish to go back, Luna suddenly uttered as she looks at the immense beauty of the earth. I will never forget this wonderful moment, but it's time to go back to Earth. Harry had a feeling she wasn't just talking about returning to Earth as he gripped Luna's hand. Let's go home. Luna looked up and smiled radiantly as she looked into Harry's hot, warming eyes. She kissed him tenderly on the lips before she whispers, I already am. The end.